How to Fall Out of Love. So there's a viral video that's been going around where I believe it's called The Diary of a CEO, and it is an interview with a man who is a divorce attorney. And although he deals in divorce, he makes his money by people getting divorced, says, when asked if he believes in love and marriage, he says, absolutely. I still believe in love and marriage, even though he sees more than half of marriages break up, and 100% of his work is marriages that are not going well. But he says, I still believe in it. And he says, people will ask me how, but I say, how can you not? It's actually beautiful to see the illogical way we go into relationships, making a big bet, a big wager, putting it all on the line, even though we know that we're vulnerable going into these relationships, even though we know that marrying the person makes us more vulnerable toward that person, we still do it, and we do it again and again, despite the fact that it might not seem like it's going to have a logical advantage. In all societies around the world, marriage remains a popular act to show your love and your devotion toward this other person, even though the statistics would lean toward the idea that it's not going to work out. So he says that it's actually beautiful, even though he sees so much ugliness. And he went on to explain that when we go through the ugly part, the breakup, we are having what I would call a trauma. Essentially, we're losing something that is so important to us. It's so special to us. It's so vital to us. We thought we would never lose something like this. And now we're in this position where we're losing the thing that was so special. And we feel like never again. This pain is so terrible. I will never put myself in a position again to lose the thing that is most important in this world to me. I will never put myself in a position to have to go through this difficulty. Yet, he said that nearly 90% of people that get a divorce get remarried within 5 years. Just process that. We're not talking about people who have never experienced divorce. We're talking about people who went through the worst thing that could possibly happen to their relationship, the dissolution of the marriage. And almost 90% of the people who go through a divorce, which they'll all tell you this is the worst thing that has ever happened to me, 90% of them, almost 90%, get remarried. Not eventually, within 5 years. To find a marriage mate within 5 years, you have to be in a hurry. Isn't that so interesting? And so he says we underestimate our capacity to move on. And he uses the illustration of his dog, which he has that he loves. But before he had this dog, he had another dog that he loved so much that he thought, this is it for me. If I lose this dog, I will never again be able to put myself through this pain. And then at the end of the dog's life, he had to make that difficult decision to put the dog down. And he was distraught. He was sad. He was depressed about losing his best friend, this animal he had been so close to. And he vowed, I'm never going to put myself through that pain again. I'm never going to allow myself to lose something that's so close to me. These relationships with an animal are so temporary. But it wasn't but a few days after he buried his last dog that his friend calls him and says, hey, we just need you to watch this puppy for us. It's a rescue and he's really in bad shape. And We just need you to watch. And he said, sure. I mean, what's it going to hurt? I'm never going to love like I loved my last dog ever again. And then what happens when the mangy dog comes in and his fur is all matted and he's got worms and sores and he's just looking up at the owner and the owner's looking down at him. And he says, I knew in that moment, I got another dog. And he kept the dog. He couldn't let it go. And now he's had that dog for 13 years. He says that when that dog looks up to him, he looks up to him with the eyes of a dog that knows that he saved him. And he says, when I look down at the dog, I look down at the with eyes knowing that he saved me as well. We underestimate our capacity to move on, to love again. But he used this term. He said, I realized I have the ability to love infinitely. It's important to grasp that concept. He said he realized he had the ability to love infinitely because that's the reality for us as humans. Although you might not acknowledge it, you are a being of infinite love. Love is not something that is finite, where you can only love one and not love another. So if you have lost someone special to you in death or in breakup or in divorce, you should not delude yourself into believing you cannot love again. You have an infinite capacity to love. We seem to understand this when we look at our love for children. A parent doesn't say, no, I couldn't, I could never love the next child the way I love this child. Right? No, you have another child and you love the child the same as you love the last child. You love all of your children. At least the capacity is there. I'm not saying I'm not saying the children are always so nice and lovable. The capacity is there. You have the ability to love multiple children. Your love is infinite. You are a being of infinite love. But sometimes this is the problem, right? Because some of us, it's not that we're stuck in not wanting to love again, although many trauma survivors are, right? They have that lack of trust and that fear that they're not going to be able to handle it if they lose someone. And so they sabotage and they avoid relationships. But they need to recognize that they have a capacity to love and that, as he mentioned in his interview, we're all losing everyone all the time. We have to get out of the mindset that you're going to get this one relationship and this one relationship is going to satisfy you in all ways for the rest of your life. Life doesn't usually work that way. It's okay to hope that your relationship continues to go on, but it's unrealistic to expect that everything's going to be perfect. The reality is we're always losing everything all the time. That's an adaptive mindset to have. It will help you when you go into your relationships to realize this is all fleeting. This is all temporary. We're all losing everything all the time. Everything is decaying and getting older and transitioning and moving about. Even our children, they get older and they're moving on. We're losing everything all the time. So to love then is a choice that you're making out of bravery. To love is courageous because you are choosing to make yourself vulnerable to the possibility, to the inevitability that you will lose that thing which you love so much. When we focus our entire life on trying to avoid pain, that's staying in the traumatized state. You are safety oriented above success oriented. When you focus on the fact that everything in life is temporary, and so while you're here, you would like to enjoy some indulgences here or there, then you can move forward. You can be success driven by setting a goal, whether it be relationship or personal or spiritual or otherwise. You can set goals and you can move toward them. And yes, you may lose that privilege. You may lose that position. You may lose that friend, that family member, that child, that spouse. You could lose, but you're not going to look back and say that it's better to have never had it, because it's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. As painful as the love is, most of us are not willing to look back at that painful experience of loss. When we really, truly, totally love someone, we're not willing to look back and say, I wish that was just never in my life. That's taking it too far. With the exception, of course, if someone was abusive. But what do we do if we're having trouble letting go of someone that we were in love with? The relationship's over, they broke up with us, or we had to break up with them. Maybe they were abusive. How can we fall out of love? Is it even possible? The pain that you experience after a breakup is proportionate to the amount of love that you have. Again, the pain is proportionate to the love. It's co-occurring. You can't mourn when there was no love. For instance, if you lost something that wasn't important to you, there's no mourning for the thing that you lost. Does that make sense? Like if I lose a paperclip because I had no emotional attachment to the paperclip, I don't really mourn the loss of the paperclip. I may lament the loss in the sense of like, darn it, I had a paperclip here a second ago, but I just simply replaced it with another paperclip because there was no emotions attached to that paperclip that I lost. It's when we are attached, it's when there is that love, that affinity for that thing that we lose. That's when we have the pain. That's when we have the mourning, right? So understand that your sadness is an expression of your love and your goodness and the beneficial thoughts that you have towards said object. But in order to be able to get over it, to be able to fall out of love, we have to correct our thinking. And that's what I'm going to teach you how to do tonight. So analyze your situation and think about your love for the other person that you had and analyze, is it actually healthy and accurate? Because sometimes we equate our ability to love the other person with the love that we actually had in the relationship. Meaning, we have an ability to love, a capacity to love, but we actually think that the relationship or that person is responsible for all of this infinite ability and capacity. Does that make sense? You are a being of infinite love. That's regardless of your relationship, whether you're in one or not. So we have to stop thinking that that one man or that one woman was the love. They are not the love. You are the love, because you, in reflection of God, are the being of infinite love. That's what you are. You're the love. You're the love. Understand that. Detach the concept of all of this beautiful energy from that one person. You had the ability to love them and you did love them. I mean, you really loved them. But that's not the only person that you can love. It's not the only animal that you could love or the only object you can love. You could love any number of other people because you have the infinite capacity for love. Sometimes we think that I'll never tap into those emotions again. I'll never feel those emotions again. I'll never feel a love like that again. But remember that divorce attorney and that dog. One day, when you least expect it, you could have another person in front of you, and all of a sudden, wow, I can love again. How is that possible? Because the love isn't a finite resource. It's not something you just run out of. Does that make sense? You are the being of infinite love. You can continue to produce love for as long as you are alive. If you're someone who's waiting for closure in your relationship, I wish we could just sit down, we can talk, we can have one last conversation. I wish they would explain themselves because maybe they ghosted. Try to understand it's rare that someone's got the emotional maturity to sit down with you, knowing you're going to have strong feelings and face the difficult conversation of talking to you about their imperfect thoughts and facing your disappointment, feeling like they would have to be able to overcome your logic. That's rare that they would have the emotional maturity to sit down and give you closure. That's not common. It's not normal. Face the fact that you're not actually as superbly compatible with this person as you hoped. You're mourning what you wanted the relationship to be, what you thought it could be, or what it was in its love bombing phase. But as this person is, recognize that as they are, you're not compatible with them. Because if you were, you would be in a relationship with them. Because you can't be compatible with a person who's trying to get away from you. Does that make sense? They don't like you. So therefore, that's the number one criteria of compatibility you're looking for in a partner, is it not? I'm looking for someone who likes me, who loves me in a sustained way. Well, they don't love you in a sustained way. They loved you for 2 years and then they stopped and now they left. It's not about the feelings that they may or may not feel. It's about the actions. The actions are not love, are they? Therefore, you are no longer compatible. Recognize that. Oh, okay. This person's not compatible with me anymore. They were when they used to show up for me, when they used to care about me, when they used to have love for me. But now we're not compatible. Does that make sense? One of the reasons why you're still holding on to them is because you continue to focus on all of their good qualities. That's one of the reasons why you're holding on to them, why it's hard to let go. When you think about them, you keep thinking about how pretty she was. She was so pretty. Oh, or you keep thinking about how strong he was, or how smart he was, or how good of a provider he was, or how he was there for you. And some things you just project that aren't even real, right? We would have been so happy together. That never happened. We he was you're just creating things, right? The way that you get out of this is you have to get your subconscious mind focused on everything that you don't like about the person. Instead of focusing on the positive qualities, you got to get the subconscious mind focused on the negative qualities. The problem is this isn't like you, right? You're not a negative thinker when it comes to someone you love. You like to idealize them, put them up on a pedestal, give them all of your love, bow down to them on their altar, right? And that's part of the problem that's keeping you stuck. All this idealization of the person was never healthy to begin with. You never got a chance in this relationship to really see them as they truly were. You saw yourself as incomplete and you saw them as your completion. And so your subconscious mind continues to say, hey, where's my arm? Where's my right arm? It's kind of important, right? When you lose a part of your body, your mind will continue to look for that part of the body. That's what you feel like you've done in your life. You feel like you've lost a part of you. So it's time to individuate and realize you did not actually lose a part of you. You lost something else. It was another entity, another person that you were at one time attached to. But focusing on all of these supposed positive qualities is not working. So here's what will help you to get over your ex, to fall out of love with them. Every day, you will write a devaluation list. This is a list of, I recommend at least 5 things, but hey, if you're on a roll, go ahead and write 6, 7, 8 things that are unlikable about the person, that were unattractive about them, that are untenable regarding the relationship. Maybe just the fact that they're avoiding you right now, or that they broke up with you in the first place. Write a list. You need 5 things on a list. You need to do this not one time. You need to wake up and do it every day. And you'll notice the moment you write the 5 things that you don't like about the person, that are not good about the person, that the bad things that they did to you, that are, again, it has to be something that shows that this is not going to work. I want you to write 5 reasons why it could not work between you and the person, or just things that you don't like about them. Shallow things are okay too, but make it a list, mix it up. 5 things I don't like about them. You can be writing it right now. I don't like about them that's not going to work. Why there's no chance with them, how they made it impossible, because we tend to forget, don't we? It's a beautiful thing the mind does. It forgets all the bad parts. Like, have you ever shown someone a movie and you said, "Oh my God, you got to watch this movie. It's so good." And then you turn on the movie and there's all of these filthy scenes in the movie that you don't remember. Like, oh my God, I didn't even remember I had this language in it. And oh my God, I forgot about this scene. This is terrible. And you feel so embarrassed. But what happened? Your mind forgot all of the negative and it just remembered the good. And that's what it's doing with this person that you love. You're forgetting. You say, "No, I didn't forget." No, you're forgetting, because if you were actually thinking about all of the bad, hard things that you were fighting through and rationalizing that whole time, if you are focused on those bad things, then you wouldn't be feeling this pain and this love anymore. I can prove it to you. Write down the 5 things right now. And the moment you focus on those 5 things, you'll feel relief from this constant pain that you were under, this pain of missing them, of needing them, of feeling like you could never move on, you could never love again. You'll feel an immediate relief just from doing it one time. So I need you to do this list. It's a devaluation list, 5 things every day. How long is it going to take, Roman? It's different for every relationship. It's different for every relationship. I don't know. I don't know. Could be months. Could have to do it for a few months. But many of you will just do it for a couple of weeks. And as long as you just don't forget, you're going to notice such good results that it's actually you're going to feel satisfied after just doing it for a couple of weeks. That's only like 10 to 15 times of making this list. It helps your subconscious mind to see them as they really are. So what are the things about them that's just not going to work? 5 things. That's what I call a devaluation list. Why? Because we're devaluing them, and that sounds bad. But remember, you were idealizing them, and that's what's really bad. Okay, you were idealizing them. So we need to bring them down a notch in your head. So we're gonna devalue it back to what they really are. Um, when you continue to allow the brain to think of this person and you're not checking those thoughts, that's what can allow you to continue to stay in love with this toxic person and stay trauma bonded, right? And the trauma bond just means that you love someone or something that's not good for you. So if you need to get untrauma bonded and unattached, make sure you're doing these devaluation lists at least once a day. And then make sure you're no contact. You can't continue to be friends, be chatting, be talking, looking at pictures of them. Oh, we don't talk anymore. I just look at their social media. Got to cut the social media. Listening to the romantic music. All that's got to get cut. All of the memorabilia, all of that. Why? Because the brain works on association. If you keep seeing them all the time and seeing things associated with them all the time, the brain says, this person is still important. If you keep having emotional reactions to them, they texted me, emotion, hyperventilation, you keep doing that, the brain's going to say, this person's important to me. I'm going to keep him at the forefront of my mind. The brain's just working for you. It's a supercomputer. It just does what it thinks you need it to do. And the person's not next to you and they're supposed to be next to you. So the brain's going to punish you. It's going to give you pain, right? So what do you need to do? Cut off all contact. Stop looking at the pictures. Remove the pictures, delete the pictures, put them in a lockbox, do something. Don't keep the memorabilia. Don't smell their shirt. Burn the shirt, get rid of it, give it to Goodwill, send it in a box back to them. Do something, get rid of it. Right? Don't smell the smells, don't smell the perfume. Don't bring back through your 5 senses more things that are going to remind you of the person. Cut off all of the reminders. And then when you do think of them, which you will, Associate that thought immediately with something disgusting. You can even make a gagging noise like this. Oh man, I wonder where they are right now. Oh, I'm thinking about them. Ugh. Did you hear that as a gagging noise? That noise is guttural. It's disgusting. And by making that noise out loud, I'll probably look strange in a library, but that's okay. I'm getting over heartbreak. When I do that, it helps the brain to recalibrate and say, oh, wait a second. This person is associating that guy with vomit. Ew, that doesn't sound good. You understand? The brain recalibrates. So you have to recognize your job to consciously, when you catch yourself, oh, I just wish I was in his strong arms again. Oh, ew. But he was a narcissist. Ugh. He cheated. Ugh. Right. And so that's where the devaluation list can really come in handy. If you're keeping track of doing that on a daily basis, especially when you're thinking about them, then you're able to call to mind right away why you're not together, why it could never work. Not just why we're not together, why it could never work. I think what I'll do is I'll put a meditation on the app. So if you don't have the app already, Mind by Roman Zanoni, you can download it for iPhone and Android. And it's going to be a meditation there that you can listen to that's going to help you to detach. And let's do this meditation live together. So as long as you're not driving a car or a heavy machinery like a forklift or a lawnmower, and you're in a relaxed area where you're safe, just go ahead, just close your eyes, okay, and just listen to the sound of my voice. Okay, so take a deep breath and let it out. What we're going to do is we're going to help you to detach so you're not so emotionally attached to this person that you feel like you can't fall out of love with and you can't let go. Okay, this meditation will help us. Another deep breath in. Let everything relax. Eyes are closed. And now, what I want you to do is picture that person standing directly in front of you. And right now, you're in the first person view. This means you're inside your body looking at that person. They're looking you in the eyes. You're looking them in the eyes. And you'll notice at first there's pain and there's love. But now I want you to call to your mind the devaluation list to the best of your memory. Stay looking into their eyes, but call to your mind the list of things that they did that were just awful, the ways that they acted that you just couldn't fix, and the reasons you can't be together. And I want you to think of these things like words that are like swirling around their head and just start to see all of the things that they did to you, the way that they broke up with you, the way that they made things hard for you and unattractive about them. Just see it all welling up and the lighting turns red as you're looking at them. And all of these things are swirling around their head. And now when you feel uncomfortable, I want you to tell that person, this is not going to work. I'm sorry. I wish you the best and walk away. Do that right now. Picture yourself telling them, this is not going to work. I'm sorry. I wish you the best and walk away from them. Now, as you walk away, you turn around and you start walking, and they are now at your back, and you're walking and you're walking and you're walking, and they're getting further and further into the distance. And you come to a gate. And when you come to this gate, I want you to picture opening up the gate, going in through the gate, and closing the gate behind you and locking that gate. And then you continue walking. And you're walking, and the gate is further and further back behind you. You're starting to feel like you're getting away from them, and you're going to come to a wooden wall. And when you come to that wall, I want you to open up a door in the wall, go through the door, and lock it behind you. Close and lock it behind you. And then keep walking and keep walking, and the wall's getting further and further back behind you until you come to a stone wall. And this big stone wall has a big, strong door. And I want you to open up that door, go in through the door, and close the door behind you. And I want you to lock it. And then finally rest. Whew. Let out a sigh of relief and say to yourself, I'm safe now. I feel so much better. And now you can open your eyes. A nice meditation like this can help us tremendously to categorize this person properly and get away from them. Even just doing this right now, you may already feel like they are way somewhere else and you have moved on more so than you felt at the beginning of the meditation. We can do something like this repeatedly. Okay. So now we have the meditation. You got the work to do with the devaluation list. This will work. Okay. So let me know after you've worked these things out. I'll put the recording for this meditation on the app, and it will be there waiting for you tomorrow morning when you wake up. And let me know after you do this on a daily basis how you're doing. Okay, check in with me after a couple weeks. By the way, if you fall off, you forget to do it, just pick back up. It's okay. It's still going to work. Still going to work, even if you miss a little time.